Welcome, everybody. I have Michelle with me, my very good friend who has been our client for last 12 years, and I'm here. And today we are going to co-host and co-present this session together. It is my absolutely pleasure to host Michelle again on my show. And again, our purpose is absolutely, we have a common purpose that we want to help rising physicians. We want to help physician entrepreneurs, and this was the main purpose that we are doing this seminar. So, Michelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Kunal. My name is Michelle P. Juan. I am a career coach who helps professionals, transition into different careers. I work with healthcare professionals. And for the past, 15 years, I've been the strategic development director and I guess VP and second hand to medical practice in alliance with Kunal, who's being not just our practice guru, but our billing person. He's just being basically a partner, what we call a strategic business partner. And the reason being is we started very small as a small practice, a sole practitioner practice, a hospital sponsored practice in an area of critical need. And we didn't know anything other than, practicing medicine. There was a lot of technology gaps, a lot of contractual credentialing gaps. We hired the wrong people, lost some money. Pretty much we were taken aback. And it still happens to some of my friends who seek guidance. I see them struggling. It seems to be a common story for most physicians. Physicians go to school to practice medicine, to service, patients, to diagnose, to treat, to better, to prevent, but not to deal with the nuances of starting a business. And I have to say the healthcare business is one of the most complex to start, because if you think about it, if you go have a plumbing issue at your house and you call a plumber, you cannot tell the plumber, you know what, I'll get back to you with that bill, send me a bill and I will see when I can pay it. I'll see if my homeowner's insurance can pay you. Do you think that plumber is going to come to you? No, right? So healthcare providers are the hardest working people and have to deal with the most complex business models. Someone like Kunal and Practice Forces have allowed us to take away a lot of that headache when it comes to not just contracts and credentialing, but also optimizing our billing so that we become an efficient practice with a good cash flow, and we are able to just focus on clinical matters rather than just administrative matters.
Wow, I'm flattered. What a wonderful introduction you have given. So thank you very much. With this, I think we are going to wrap up today's show in next 15-20 minutes because we already delayed it because of some technical glitches. But here I wanted to talk about 10 most important points any doctor or a physician should remember when he wants to start his own practice. And then the first and foremost, and we always actually talk about, you and me, we love this one typical term is called purpose. What is the purpose of starting your own medical practice? It's very important to have a mission, to have a purpose. What's the purpose you want to start a medical practice? And sometimes a purpose can be as small to as starting a solo medical practice and serving like 10 miles radius of the city. Or sometimes some people have a purpose, very wide, very big mission, big vision, kind of, starting something like Florida Medical Clinic, starting something like Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic. So it really depends what the purpose and where you want to start your medical practice. So that's the first step when you think about, starting your medical practice, because that purpose will then allow you and, help you in defining the business structure. So it starts with the purpose and the mission, and then it allows you to define your structure. And when you define your structure, there are few people who help out. And I call them your friends. So you have to find your friends and foe. in identifying the business structure. It's maybe a healthcare attorney or a CPA or somebody who really understands your purpose, not the business. Of course, they would understand the business because it's their expertise and skill, but they understand your purpose. That's the most important thing. And I think, Michelle, you can add on this, but that's something which I always tell. That's the first step to start thinking about when you're starting your own medical practice. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, in business, we call it strategic business plans.
Right.
I think physicians just want to just go and treat and practice.
Right.
And it's so important to understand your target market. Who's your patient? Not to saturate yourself with one specific age group, because you have to understand that if you have all Medicare or even Medicaid, you are going to be in a parameter of a billing cycle that may not spread out your risk. So it's important to establish which services am I going to target to each different patient before you even do anything like incorporating yourself, contracting, and credentialing.
Right. No, absolutely. I'm fixing my camera so that I can be a little bit more comfortable right now, because I see there is something going on. The camera is not working out very well for me. I have to really look at this. Okay, am I good now?
You're perfect.
Okay, perfect. So purpose and mission is very important. And then we have to decide about, we talked about business structure, which is very important. And then the business structure, you have seen it, but when we talk about, most people ask whether I should have a LLC, I should have a PA, I should have LP. And again, it goes back, like, your business structure is so important that, sometimes it can lead you to, in future, for possible bottlenecks in credentialing. So the story I was narrating earlier is that I had a friend who has been practicing medicine for the last 30 years. And when Medicare was distributing the stimulus money, CARES Act, last week, he did not get his shares. He did not get any money in his bank, and he was worried. And he called me and he said, "Kunal, what can you do for me?" And his wife spoke to me, and eventually she said, our Medicare is set up as a social security number, not as a tax ID. And Medicare, I think, has distributed the money only to the tax ID owners. I said, that should not be the right way of looking into the things. It might be just a glitch. So we went into the system. We went into the Medicare system. We checked their credential, and we found eventually they are not even set up correctly. Whoever set up their system 20 years ago, it was all mess. Their IDs are wrong. Their insurance information is very old. Their demographic information is old. Their address is old. They don't even have the email access which is listed there. So I was even wondering, they are receiving the money from Medicare for their regular reimbursement. And she said, we have no idea who did this, and it's been going on for a long time.
I can imagine.
They're worried about it because something was stopped. So yes, when it comes to the business structure, it is very important because it gives you a foundation, a strong foundation, which helps you into a very, very it helps you in a perfect way of getting your Medicare done, Medicaid done. So credentialing comes once you have a very strong and your foundation is right at the time of business structure. So it's very important. And we help as a medical billing company. I always tell, there is no harm in asking companies like us. And the whole purpose of this masterclass is so that we can reach out to the people who really are looking for some kind of help. And this is a free coaching. We are telling them you can do it by yourself, and you can just pick up one of our offers, which is in the right hand side. It's right there under the offers. You see there is an offer for just simple coaching, do it yourself product we have. Or there is an offer in $5,000. We just take care of the complete credentialing, and we handle it at our side so that he doesn't need to worry about it.
Yeah, we've done it both ways.
Yes, you have done it both ways. Yes.
On our own and with you guys. So
Share some
yeah,
experience. Yeah, let's do
I
that.
think, well, what happens is, as I mentioned before, I have a master's degree in business administration, but
Right.
it's not related to healthcare. Healthcare is a very complex
Yeah.
animal of its own. You understand it. We didn't. We were looking at the clinical side. Most of my friends, still to this age, I have a very good friend. It took her 2 years to get her credentialing, her contracting in order. And then it took her another 6 months to get started. And you would think the money starts just popping in. No, you need lines of credits. You need to be able to finance that period where you are just waiting. What happens is that if you do not bill correctly, if that foundation is not set up properly, or your contracts are not giving you the best advantage, you are setting yourself for a lot of headaches. And that's where I think you came and fixed a lot of things, and we were able to
See the
take
money
a deep
coming
breath.
in, going in. So that's
Take a deep
exactly
breath.
my point is, because sometimes when you set up your mission, vision, and all of that, and you create a wonderful business plan, glorifying business plan, and people end up taking loans like bank debt and loan and equity. Sometimes you raise equity, and then you don't realize that it can become a disaster at some point if you do not receive the money within 90 days to 6 months. I have seen, it's a very small rule. Medicare nowadays only allow 30 days reimbursement retrospectively. When we did your credentialing 15 years ago, forget about those rules, are not there anymore. So
Yeah.
now if you do a Medicare, it's only 30 days you have to apply for Medicare if you start seeing patients.
I can
You
imagine, because I
don't use
remember
that.
scrambling through papers, invoices,
Right.
charts,
Well, they have
like
automated now the
from
technology, so it's all
yes.
the computer based. But think about it: if you don't have 30 days, and if you start seeing a patient, and if you don't apply within 30 days for Medicare, you lose all that revenue. Medicare is not going to pay for that, and
True.
that happens. And guess what? If you apply, I have seen a stories where you apply for Medicare, your application was rejected. Medicare sent a fax to you. Nobody looked at the fax. Nobody appealed it. So for almost 6 months gone by, and then you approach a billing company, and you lose all that 6 months money because they have to start the entire process again. So sometimes you have to really think what exactly you are doing, and it's very important that take the right decision at the right time to engage right partners. So as you said, as a business partner, we always communicate to our clients or doctors, and we say that take the decision much in advance if we are giving you an advice that this is the thing which is coming. Just to give you an example today, what happened, I received an email from my TAC. He says that you have a client, this doctor, he is losing his backup space. He does not have enough space on online backups. It's only 500 gigabytes. Now his data is more. He needs a 1 terabyte. And he said, we have been sending the alerts to the practice. They are not listening. They are not upgrading it. What should we do? So we literally have to call the doctor and explain them that's a very sensitive issue, because if tomorrow you lose the data, and if your online backup is not complete, it can come back on you. And then you will make us responsible that we were not telling you. You were getting the alerts. We have been sending you emails, but you're just ignoring it.
Right.
So it's very important sometimes that, to pay attention to the details. I always call it pay attention to the details. And we tell it to our billers also, pay attention to the details, because that's where the main, and paying attention to the details from a physician perspective, which is non-clinical, is a second priority. And I think that's how the role of partners and business partners come into the picture. So I always tell them that the credentialing and third-party payers, if you can find a company like us, please try to outsource it. And if you don't want to outsource it, then at least learn it right way and to do it right way. So it's very important to have a third party.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, there's a whole scheme. It takes a village,
Right,
really, in healthcare to
right.
operate. And physicians, as I mentioned earlier, you don't want to put all that burden on your staff, on your office manager, because at the end of the day, you want to provide the best care, and you want to have everything nowadays operates based on patient reviews. That's what's driving the business. And yes, they will not understand the administrative part, but they will remember whether you're a good provider. And how I see a company like yours is that you're backstage. The doctors is on stage. He's providing the diagnosis, the treatment, making the patient feel better. But there's a lot of people behind the curtain operating, and you don't want that to be your medical staff, because your medical staff has to assist the doctor in basically providing the best care available. So there's a lot of people who actually have to be hired, not just from a technology standpoint, credentialing, contractually, marketing, and so forth. I think you have an all-in-one solution, which is great, because when you have someone you trust and you're able to just pick up the phone and ask a quick question, that was going to save you, tens of thousands of dollars.
Right.
That's significant. Not to be able to tell that person, it's a problem.
So one of the points in our presentation here, because it's called the staffing strategy. So what you talk about is absolutely, the staffing strategies has to be so that we also, we called it like when you hire people in the beginning, they should know your purpose so well that they become the face of your medical practice for the patients. So staffing strategies are very important, whether you hire in-house people or outsource some of the functions. So in this particular board, what we have created, and I want to share this board with the people because they haven't shared it. So we have created this template for our clients and people who wants to basically see what we are providing. So and this is absolutely a free board. It's a free template which I have created for physicians who wants to start their own practices. I'm happy to share that after the end of the presentation with them. In this board, we have written down those 10 points, and then also in those 10 points, we have created tasks for each of them. So like even for the real estate, what kind of a space you need? We have a space need analysis. How should you be signing a lease agreement or buying the property? What should you be looking at the list of equipments? What kind of data cabling or structure you need? Do you need 100 Mbps data speed, or do you need 10 gigabytes of data speed? I have put down the recommendation of the companies as well as all of the technical needs. In technology, I have put down like from digital PBX system to cloud-based EMR, digital faxing to non-digital faxing. We have talked about all the processes, IT, technology in this presentation, which is available absolutely for free to all the physicians who are listening our webcast. This is available there. I'm happy to share with them. But all of these things are absolutely important. Like my favorite subject is practice management and EMR. And I know you have had a great experience with our web-based practice management system. But the one thing which is very important in a practice management system is how capable that company is to cope up with the future and as well as with the present requirements. So like telemedicine is telehealth is big at this moment, right? That's one thing which has changed from last month to this month. Now, what has changed? It's just the behavior. It's just, and it's not only the patient behavior, it's the doctor's behavior too, because if the physician is not going to change or adopt technology, he is not going to convince the patient to use that. So it's not only important for a patient to use his phone, but for a doctor, it's important to use the iPad or a camera, or just like you see when we were doing this, I forgot to press a button and we did not record the previous webinar.
Yeah, we did a great dry run though.
Yeah, think about the situation if that happens when you have a patient sitting there and waiting for 30 minutes. How would it feel? So those kind of things. What do you think about practice management and EMR you have used over the years, and can you give us some thoughts on that?
Well, I think I previously talked about reporting because there's several people who are benefiting from this, right? You have your front desk staff, which is making their life so much easier when it comes to registering a patient, your medical assistants and your nursing staff being able to access all the diagnosis and being able to create a chart for them, it integrating. For me as a business development person, I look at reporting, marketing statistics, where is our money coming from, which billing codes are giving us the best return, what are the demographics from our patient base, what kind of services are we lacking.
That's true.
That we need
reporting
to
is very important. What you're saying is from a clinic, from a doctor's perspective, and then
from the physician standpoint, there's a lot of integration for the physician to do all his documentation. So it's helping different people make their life easier. And we started on paper, so
right. I remember that.
We did. And we have gone through many different tryouts. Yes. And it wasn't until we had a cloud-based system like yours where I'm able to pull it up from my phone. I'm able to print out reports. I can call you guys if I get stuck, or if I don't think there's a report that is showing me what I want to see. There's always a way. And what I enjoy about it is that I have a lot of freedom in looking at my practice. I don't depend on your monthly report. Any day of the week, at any time, I can go in there.
You are on the spot on this. This is my favorite subject: transparency and accountability. Mm-hmm. So, and as a billing company or as a business partner, if I can provide transparency to your business, that's the best comfort I can give to my clients. And I think that's what our clients enjoy. We give them freedom. We give them whatever you want. If we are wrong, we are wrong. Just by hiding our something wrong, what we can do is we can prevent that not happening again. But if you are deliberately hiding some of our stuff, it will become eventually our habit. So we don't want to do something, but if something which we have ignored and out of our ignorance, something has happened and committed sorry, and we move forward. Like this time it happened, we did not click the live button and we messed up. Somebody was waiting for 30 minutes. I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry for that. But so one thing when we talk about the practice management and EMR system, I tell it this is my analogy. Most people talk about, they say that, hey, do I need to have in-house servers or I should buy a cloud-based solution? Because cloud-based solution is going to be always slow. You depend on a speed of internet. Right. Whereas in-house solution, if you have a server in-house, it is always going to be faster because you really don't depend on internet. But the cost of in-house server would be a little bit higher because you need IT people or IT company to manage it. Whereas if you go with a cloud-based software, you don't have any IT maintenance cost. You just pay a one-time subscription fee per month and you're done.
Yeah, and I think it has a lot to do with integration rather than just managing separate things. There's just no time in a medical practice to be worrying about just different pieces. So the more integrated something is and user-friendly to train a new staff member, for example, the more optimized the practice becomes.
Right. So I always tell that the first thing you want to see is you can listen to your friends what they are using, but there is no guarantee whatever you would listen to your friends that is going to work for you, because your workflow would be different. Your skill set of adopting technology would be different. So if your friend is using Clinical Works or he's using Allscript or he's using Advanced MD, you don't necessarily that it will fit into your workflow. Even if your practice is specialty is same, there's no guarantee it is going to fit in your workflow. Your workflow means the way you see patient, the way you adopt technology, the way you click using your computer. Do you use iPad? Do you use touch screens? Do you use a desktop, Mac? What do you use? So it all depends your own behavior with an IT.
And
So
and may I add the adaptability as the physician and the staff become more technology savvy to upgrade to those options, which we've done through you. You know, we
right.
started simple, upgraded, acquire
No, I
more
would like to
features.
talk about the patient pop, how we did the patient integration, patient emails, and now you are able to sign up more patients using the technology where we did some kind of integration, right, through the
Yeah.
backbone. We even launched like one of the softwares because we were having a lot of hospitalist clients. So recently we launched a new program called HL7 Bridge. So you can have your patients come in directly from the hospital system. As soon as you see the patient in the hospital, we get the demographics imported directly into Advanced MD.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, we develop those kind of bridges. So again, it really depends what kind of workflow you have in the practice, and that plays a big role into starting your own medical practice. And you should always listen to yourself and your own workflow, because when you do that, you will make a right decision. Because it's
Sure.
absolutely impossible to change an EMR later on. You can probably change your billing company, you can change the practice management, but changing an EMR is a daunting task, because you cannot just replace the data as it is, the way you see it in the first EMR.
I
So it's very
agree.
important when you decide about the EMR, you really take care of you really see your own workflow. So I think at this moment we are going to wrap up this seminar, because we have been talking for a long time. But one thing I really wanted to touch base here is about how important is marketing, because I know you are a marketeer, I'm a marketeer, we love marketing, and here is a thought I will give. That think about when you set up your medical practice in physical sense, you were
Right.
concerned about the architecture of the building, you were concerned about the furniture, colors, everything inside the building.
Right.
Now, when you have a practice which is based on virtual clinic, a telehealth or telemedicine, what would you see? Your entire face of the practice is changing.
It
So your
is.
website would be your real estate or your office assets.
Well, I think, the reputation has already been built
Right,
to the extent where the trust is there
right,
for the physician to switch. And we were very surprised to hear that physicians were very much appreciative. I mean, patients, sorry,
right,
were very much appreciative of this technology because they
right.
were living in fear, and
Yeah,
there was so much need for
right,
them to have their refills and so
right,
forth. So it became as a blessing in the sky for them. And we were surprised that there was so much that we had the technology to be able to provide the service. But the backbone of it is building your reputation through online marketing, through the personal brand that we've established for the physician, for the group practice, through the services that are offered. So there's building blocks for marketing to target different customers. So we don't target millennials who are coming for annual physicals the same way we target, a whole family of retirees who have multiple conditions. There's different ways to do it. There's location-based marketing, but behind all of this is reputation. And reputation, as we've said before, has to do with the ability of the staff to focus on the clinical side of the practice rather the administrative part of it. And you, my friend, have been able to help us with that so much. And for that, I am very appreciative because it has been very collaborative, and it's being a way
So I
for us.
always, yeah. So I tell you, sorry, I don't want to disturb, interfere with what your line of thought, but one thing I always like about, when a physician or somebody at, like in your case, you were so ready to adopt new things.
Yes.
And that was my motivation to give you the solutions. So when your clients or when your physicians are full of new ideas and they take an initiative, that is one thing which is very important when you start your own medical practice. Because I tell you, what you gave me at this moment, this is absolutely what I was trying to come up with, that a physician needs to inspire, motivate their vendors, their friends, people whom they come in contact, and that will create or ignite new ideas. It
Yes.
will absolutely spark up, it will
Well,
give you.
I've always been that kind of
Yes.
customer. Come on, Kunal, come up
Yes,
with this.
yes.
We need a
So when we
solution.
talked about, you said, "Hey, I want to send some, all of my patients who have diabetes. I want to send them a letter." Or I have my patients who have not paid for, like, who have not come to our practice for last 90 days. We want to send them reminder letters in one go. And we came up with, okay, let's set up some integration with the MailChimp software or something, and let's do it. So those kind of things comes when physician himself take initiative and ignite the new ideas into the relationship. So that's very important to have it. And I really wanted to touch upon this because I know marketing is our domain, and without marketing you cannot start your medical practice. So give people who are listening this video, give them 3 good marketing ideas. What's happening in today's world right now? What's happening
Now, because old school marketing, it's
is
over.
gone.
Okay, so nowadays you have to document. First, you have to provide value, free value, what Kunal is doing right now. You have to be able to communicate to your patients something that they can do that doesn't rely necessarily on you. Whether that is, I just recommended a friend of mine who is a pain management physician. I said, tell your patients how to treat pain at home with homeopathic solutions. They'll be able to do that before they come to you, gain some time, especially during COVID. They're filming videos and they're putting them on social media so that the patients have this relationship with the physician, because at the end of the day, it's a long-term relationship and you want to be able to provide value. So get on social media, provide value, provide content that it's not transactional. That's number one.
So it has to be live. It has to be like we are talking. It should come
Or
out.
it could be a video. It could be a video. It could
What
be.
do you think about Facebook live sessions people have?
I think they're fantastic. I think nowadays people want their physicians and their staff to have to that relationship that it's created in an office, that it's family related. Christmas is crazy with gifts and I have a staff member who does a Bible group with some of our patients. I mean, sometimes it gets to be, wow, these people really think of us as family. So you want to be able, now that we're virtually, to recreate that. That's because true. Otherwise the patient starts feeling removed. Right. So how do you do that? Facebook Lives or Instagram, depending on your patient base. Have a YouTube channel. Right. It doesn't have to be a huge production. Right. What we're doing right now, I mean, I'm not wearing shoes right now. How real can this get? Yes. Be genuine, be real, be yourself, because that's the way you've been managing your patients. Number 2, I highly, highly recommend to hire a company that is doing your reputation management. That's encouraging. Reputation management. Yes, it's encouraging your patients once they leave the office or while they're just wrapping up the visit or telehealth visit to give you feedback. You're not, you're not asking for give me 5-star review. What you're asking is for feedback. How can we make your experience better? That makes them
You know,
feel like,
that's so important. We have a company called Doctable where I have invested into, and that
oh,
company started doing this. And I think we covered this in our last webinar also.
yes, we did.
And they are, in last 2 months, what they have done is they have made their software free for those practices who cannot afford to pay them a monthly fees.
Okay,
Just
that's
to support,
really,
yeah,
really, really
they are
generous.
creating an experience for their customers, and and their customers, which are patients, are creating an experience for their physicians. So that's a fantastic kind of relationship, which I wanted to talk about. When you're talking about, they both are creating a reputation for two businesses
Yes,
with one
and
software.
then lastly is the art of storytelling.
Right,
You want to be able to have your staff give you what I call, our marketing calls, the elevator pitch.
right.
It's with a fantastic story, something that says, oh my gosh, we were so happy to diagnose this patient who's gone through hell and back, and now we finally figure it out, and she's having a great quality of life. Those stories, facts tell, stories sell.
How should they post those? They should publish it on social media without disclosing the patient names and all.
Yeah, just like I did right
Yeah,
now. The other day we had a 65-year-old who was complaining of XYZ, and nobody had ever checked, the following thing, or done
right.
this diagnostic testing, and we were able to quickly diagnose that she has an intolerance for this, and now she is able to see her grandkids and have, walks every night. It has to be truth, it has to be genuine, but it promotes that humanity that we're so lacking
Compassion.
right now. Yes, yes.
That
So
translates.
remember,
Yes.
facts tell, stories sell. Promote your business with your goodwill, and that is what I highly recommend right now, the personal storytelling.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So I think with this, we are going to end because we have been talking a lot, and I know this was a half session, but I would summarize it for you. And then, these are like 10 points we talked about to start a medical practice. And I would quickly summarize this. Find your purpose, start a mission statement. We talked about it. Create a nice business structure, because business structure gives you a credibility. And then create a strategic budget. And we are going to talk about it probably later in some other things. And the strategic, legal, and corporate compliance, which is very important. And fifth and foremost important thing is staffing strategies, which you spoke about it a little bit. How to find people who can match their mission and vision with you. Find people who have the same purpose. Don't just go for $10, $12 money thing. Go with the people who really work with you and find a purpose. And then the credentialing is a big deal. Credentialing has to be right and based on your purpose. And then practice administration software, practice management software is very important. And we talked about it. Don't go by what people say. Go by what you can do. What's your workflow? It's like a decision for marriage for you. So think through that purpose. There is no exit door when you decide about the EMR. And then technology. Should be ready to do the technology. You should be ready to adopt any kind of technology. Telemedicine is the biggest example. It changed the behavior of people. Like 97% patients, they want to see doctors now on telemedicine. What was the rate 2 months ago? Only 13% patients wanted to see telemedicine. Now 97% wanted to see. Just think about 2 months. It changed the complete behavior. And last but not least is marketing, which is our favorite subject. So all of these things we have covered in this show. Our offer is still valid. It's right inside in the offer. You can always go to our website, practiceforces.com. Michelle has a website, and we are good friends. We would continue to be here on your show and continue to be talking to you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Kunal, for having me. Have
Thank
a
you.
great weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye.